Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's go to Manny real quick. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Manny?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen?
Talk to me.
Stephen, so I want to let you – a lot of people are talking about this Kemba Durant thing and where he signed and that. I know it kind of –
Manny, are you there?
actually happy. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Man, I'm sorry, Manny. I lost you. Call back in a few minutes. Bill Simmons, as promised, is on the line with us right now. What's up, my brother? How are you? Happy 4th of July.
I'm doing good. Yeah, you too, brother.
All right, talk to me, man, because I know you got a lot of stuff to say in light of what happened with KD going to Brooklyn, not going to the Knicks. Kawhi still out there. We don't know where he's going, even though we're hearing LA Lakers. What's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I was driving around LA today listening to your show in the beginning, and it became clear you're now in deep denial with the Knicks. You did this whole thing. You know,
Right.
maybe plan B, it's not that bad. They did some good things. No, this is an abject disaster.
Yes.
This is the worst case scenario.
It is, Bill. I can't.
I like Julius Randle, and then they spent $52 million just for this season on 5 ninth men.
Yep.
And this is what you traded Porzingis and put the Lee and Hardaway contracts in. This is why you stretched Joakim Noah so you would have cap space this summer so you could go sign a whole bunch of bench players with Julius Randle. There is no way to spin this. You can't feel good about it. I'm not going to let you. I'm just not.
You got me. Bill, you know I'm an honest guy. You got me. You got me. There's nothing I can say, Bill. There's nothing I can say. I mean, I just try because I'm like this. They're not a worse team than they were, but damn, they were 17-65. How much worse can you be? So I guess I'm just trying to find a silver lining because, Bill, I've been crying for 2-3 days. I'm trying to get over it, Bill.
The cap space was the best asset they had. This is what I don't understand, why they're getting praised. And people are like, well, though, you could trade those contracts in December, January, February. It's like, can you? Can you really trade, I don't know, Wayne Ellington for a first-round pick? That the recent
Bobby
history of the league
Portis.
says you can't get – well, maybe. What is – name me your top 3 greatest Bobby Portis basketball moments in the last 4 years. Like, can you think of one?
I can't think of one
moment?
I can't think of one. I can't think of one.
I can't. I would have rather had the cap space. And, you know, like there's stuff on the internet today. I don't know if it's true or not that Miami is trying to get Wall and Beal, and where you would get Beal, and as the price of Beal, you would take John Wall's contract. And it's like $40 million a year for the next 4 years. It's the worst contract in the league by far. He may never be healthy again.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff you can do when you have cap space. And I look at where the Knicks are right now. And if the Wizards decided Beal's not going to be here in 2 years, we want to get rid of this John Wall contract and we want to just reboot. Guess what team would have been sitting there with the cap space and the assets and picks and all kinds of things? Be like, all right, cool. We'll take a chance at John Wall.
Yeah.
But can we get Bradley Beal out of it? Great. Here we go. And instead, they just tied up their cap space with all these dudes.
So, Bill Simmons, break this down for me. If you had an opportunity to fix the Knicks, what would you do?
I like the Randall signing. I think he's good.
Okay.
I would have kept the cap space clear. I would have been the way station because I think what we saw, everybody shot the gun this year because they basically allowed tampering this season for the first time. So on July 1st, 80% of the deals were done.
That's true.
And now you look around, nobody has cap space. So you have these teams like Oklahoma City, who is going to be a repeater tax team unless they can dump, I think, like 13, 14 million.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the next situation, what Miami was just in, where all of a sudden Miami needed cap space. They had a chance to get Jimmy Butler. It materialized quickly. They had to dump contract. Only a couple teams had the cap space. This seems to happen over and over again. I think the one lesson with the Knicks these last 2 years is don't create the cap space before you know for sure you can get the guy. You can create cap space in 24 hours anytime you want. You could, like the Knicks could have dumped Hardaway and Lee this summer.
There's still a floor you got to touch on, though. There's still a floor you got to touch on, though. You got to spend like 85 to 90% of that space. You can't just leave it out there. So that might be why they did it. And there's nobody that they signed to more than 2 years. There's nobody that they signed to more than 2 years.
But if you don't spend it, if you don't get to that whatever, what is it, like 85%?
85 to 90%.
So all right,
it's 90%.
Cousins last case scenario in December, and you give Boogie Cousins 1 year, $20 million, so you can
Did
get
you
to
did
the
you just
or whatever.
did you just call up to the Stephen A. Smith radio show and suggest that the New York Knicks should take Boogie Cousins? Did you just do that, Bill Simmons? Did you just do that?
On July 2nd is my point. You don't have to spend $52 million on 1 year contracts on July 2nd. There's still guys. I didn't think there was any vision for it, and I think, we've seen over and over again. We saw it in 2014 with Cleveland. They realized they had a chance to get LeBron. What did they do? They scrambled. They created cap space. They used the pick to get rid of Tyler Zeller, and they were able to create the cap space. For the Knicks to do all the mechanics they did over the last year made me think they thought for sure they were getting somebody, and they were just wrong. Whether it was KD, whoever they thought they were getting, they really thought they were getting
KD and Kyrie. It was KD and Kyrie. Make no mistake about it. But Bill Simmons, with that being said, what do we do about James Dolan in your estimation? The owner for the New York Knicks.
I mean, I don't know what else you can do. The Clippers mean 1/100th what the Knicks mean in basketball, and just like with the generations of fans, all that stuff. But they were in a very similar situation with Donald Sterling, where once the guy owns a team, that's it. You can't do anything. You can't get rid of the person. It's his team. It's like if you live on a street, and the worst person possible buys the house next to you. You can't do anything. That person's there unless something happens. And with Dolan, I think he's so stubborn. You've talked about on your show, like, he's really stubborn. And when he gets criticism, it actually makes him more empowered to dig his feet.
That's
in
a good point.
Well, these people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And it works with hockey. Harvey Aridin talked about this. He wrote a good piece yesterday. In hockey, it doesn't matter. Hockey players, they just love playing hockey. They'll get to the playoffs. They'll play with a broken ankle. They just love hockey, and they're always team first. Basketball has become this business where the players are looking at basketball as one of the many things they want to do. And I think this is how Brooklyn got KD and Kyrie. And you think this too, because I heard you say it before. It wasn't just about the Nets. It was about Rock Nation. It was about the Alibaba, the guy who owns 49% of the net. All the business opportunities, Bill, and that was why those guys went there. It was not a basketball decision.
Bill, let me interrupt you because I got a hard break. I got to get on out of here. Let me ask you this question about your Boston Celtics real quick, because we all know that's where your loyalty lies. How do you feel about Kemba Walker being there instead of Kyrie Irving?
Well, from a teammate, leadership, just good guy thing. They needed to change the culture. The culture, it was the unhappiest Celtics season since Pitino was there, and I think Kemba, by all accounts, one of the great teammates in the league, and somebody who just works his butt off and is going to be, I think, a lot like what Isaiah Thomas was like in Boston a couple years ago, where people just love him. But they're still a move away now. I think they were a championship contender last year on paper, and they're not anymore. Now they're one move away. They have assets, but they still need one more trade to, I think, be taken seriously.
Very last question. I give you the choice. Kawhi Leonard, Lakers, Clippers, Toronto Raptors. Where do you want him to go?
Well, for me and you, it's most fun if he goes to the Clippers, right? Because then we get another team that's a contender. I think for him, from a basketball standpoint, Lakers, because you get to play with Anthony Davis for the next 5 years. I think from a loyalty / could we win back-to-back, Toronto, definitely short-term. But then long-term, where are you in Toronto? You basically have Siakam and a bunch of guys who are on the other side of the mountain. So I think what makes the most sense is a 1-1 in Toronto and just redo this all next summer. But I think he wants to cash in, especially where he is physically. Yeah. So I still think it's going to be the Lakers. I think it's like the smart basketball move, but I'm going to hate it when he does it.
I'm not going to hate it because it's L.A. I ain't going to complain. I ain't going to complain about that. But Bill Simmons, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you listening to the show. And I owe you a visit on your podcast, man. So it's going to happen.
You're coming on this summer. We're doing it.
We're doing it. Appreciate you, my brother.
Right.
Thank you, man.
All right.
One and only Bill Simmons, founder of The Ringer, has done 30 for 30 work, used to be on NBA Countdown, obviously did a lot of great writing, was a New York Times bestseller. He's done it all. He's absolutely great. I love the guy personally. He's really good people. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Back to your calls to close out the show in a minute. By the way, need seats to a game? Download the Vivid Seats app and enter promo code CHAMPS at checkout to get 10% off your first order.